Hi friends, we're back again for another workout session here at DMGC. Hope that you're doing all right and hanging in there during this just challenging time. Many emotional roller coasters are happening and I know it's tough for everybody, but we're gonna get through it together, so hang in there. Let's start our practice and do a little bit of conditioning. So here we go. So today we're gonna start with some legs. I have some 12-pound dumbbell weights right here. I want you to stand nice and tall. Keep the spine long, shoulders pressed down, and keep the stomach tucked in and pelvis under so we protect our lower back. And we're going to bend as deeply as possible and explosive jumps. Let's do 3 sets of 12. And really work on that explosiveness. Go ahead and take your time to get that done. And I'll be back here whenever you're ready. The next thing we're gonna do is some butterflies. So we're gonna lift up this way. This is what I call them. I'm sure they're called many different things, but just halfway up, 3 sets of 10. If you don't have weights, just do them without weights. Just keep the hands nice and stiff, and you'll just kind of bring them in and just work without weights. And that's okay too. But the weights add the additional effect here. Stay nice and lifted up tall, head neutral, eye gaze straight forward, feet are nice and straight, toes pointed right ahead. Make sure you're breathing as well, as this is going to build up quite a bit of heat and you're going to be a little bit out of breath, but pace yourself. If you're an athlete used to this kind of circuit, you'll be used to that heavy breathing. But for those of you who aren't, just kind of pace yourselves and do what you need to do to make it feel right. And don't exert yourself too much. You don't want to hurt yourself. All right, the next exercise we're going to do is Russian twist, but we're going to add a little weight this time to it. So if you don't have an 8-pound weight or a dumbbell, just do them without the weight this time. You can choose any size dumbbell that you have and alternate the Russian twist and try to do 3 sets of 20. And you can use the 8-pound as well and try to tap the floor with each twist. And try not to wiggle the legs as much as possible, but it kind of will have some movement to it. So don't worry about that too much. That's okay. So the next thing we're gonna do is arch-ups or Superman lifts, depending on what you want to call them. Doesn't matter to me, but let's do 3 sets of 20. We're gonna work to keep our legs squeezed on the lift and our arms in line with our body so we have no broken angles in the armpits and in the shoulder line. So go ahead and squeeze your glutes, stay very tight. Don't let the legs come apart in the back, especially for you competitive gymnasts. This is also working on tightening your form and not having bent arms, but keeping everything super squeezed is gonna help you continue to work on that body shaping and squeezing the form, so when you come back into the gym, you will also have good form that you've been practicing while you've been out. Now that you're done with those, the next thing is going to be our scissor V-ups, because I do believe those should be done on a regular basis, and you pretty much know what they are if you work with me. But let's go ahead and have 3 sets of 25. You want to make sure that they're quick and they're tight with your toes and your knees and your arms. So you want to keep everything nice and squeezed as you're moving through that motion, nice and very, very quick. So it's time to get our mountain climbers done. Hands on your hips, and your knee is going to touch in between each one, and you're going to try to extend and point. Extend and point. And then you want to pick up the pace and do them quicker. Let's do 3 sets of 20 on these. So let's wind down with a little bit of stretching. We're gonna do a pike sit, which will be our first exercise. Lift up tall, deep breath in, and flatten the back as you're reaching forward. Head flat towards your shins. Just reach those hands flat to the ground. And take a deep breath in and exhale, and go ahead and let your body completely relax over your legs. We're really trying to not fidget in this while we're doing 3 sets of 1-minute holds. Head is completely flattened down. And we're staying in it nice and long today because we have time to stretch. We're sitting at home. We might as well take advantage of the extra opportunity to stay in our holds a little bit longer. I usually do a cool down with my athletes of 1 minute at the end of a 4-hour practice and some other stretching exercises for 1 minute to make sure that we get the body parts that need to be stretched. But we have extra time, we might as well. Those hamstrings get tight pretty often. And so, you know, why not work on our flexibility and strength so when we come back into the gym, we feel like we didn't really miss out too much, and we're gonna be mentally and physically still in the game, because many gymnasts know that it's really hard when you take a lot of time off to come back and feel still strong and flexible. So if we can maintain that during these weeks that we're out, it will be really helpful so that you don't feel fatigued and sluggish when you come back. So we might as well, right? Let's do it. Go ahead and lift over, exhale. Just work on stretching those hamstrings. Some days you're gonna be tighter than others, and that's okay. Wherever you're at is where you're at, but we're gonna work at it. And if you stay consistent with it and work it regularly, whether you're a high-level athlete or not, you're going to make progress. It's just a matter of how much you're putting into it. So now we're gonna do a shoulder stretch. Go ahead and inch your fingers as close as you can to each other and slide your bottom down. You can inch it down as much as possible and try to not let the hands slide out, but it's inevitable, sometimes they do. So you can keep your knees bent, but if you do this regularly, you know the goal is to go all the way down and inch those shoulders all the way flat. And mine is certainly not where it used to be, but the goal is to have it all the way down and really squeeze that flexibility right there. But again, that comes in time and how much effort you spend in it. But the gymnasts that are regularly in the gym, they know how to do that stretch very well. So make sure that you have no pain in the elbows. If there is some pain, just back off a little bit, but just work to inch it, little by little, slide it down and stretch the shoulders. And then you're gonna go ahead and have the fingers facing your seat. And you're gonna stretch in this direction as well, maybe a couple of rotations each direction, and then hold for 30 seconds. As much as your body will allow. You want to feel a stretch in that mild to moderate area. But if it's too intense and it's too much, just back off a little bit. It'll get there. You just have to hold and work on those stretches. Go ahead and take a couple more circles in each direction. Loosen the muscles up a little bit, and then one more 30-second hold. Again, this is an area that sometimes gets neglected. We often forget that the shoulders are, very tight sometimes. So just make sure that you stretch that out, and you will definitely feel a lot better coming back into the gym. Which, now that we've stretched our shoulders out, the next thing to do is to get a bridge in. So for those of you that practice bridges in gymnastics, you're going to bring your heels in towards your seat. Fingers are gonna face your heels, and you're going to open up that bridge. And of course, you wanna get your feet together. For those of you who do not do the bridges very often, you can do this version where you're bringing in your shoulder blades towards one another and you're opening up the hips. You can even go on the toes for a little extra enhancement of the stretch. Keep your hands together if possible, or on the ground, and you can just work that variation if you need to. But let's go ahead and hold those bridges, because the bridge is one of the skills that we lose the quickest because our flexibility deteriorates when we're out of the gym. So if you're working on that, gymnasts, please make sure you work that every day. But if you're working on getting a bridge, just work little by little and you'll get there. You can have a block underneath your head in the beginning just to make sure you have some support if that's not comfortable, but just work the modified version until you feel strong enough to get to the regular bridge. The last thing we're gonna do is your splits. Make sure that you get each direction done. For those of you that are gymnasts, you can get each direction, 1 minute, 2 sets, dominant leg, non-dominant leg, and middles. For those of you adults that are practicing with us, you can have a couple of blocks to hold you up on your splits on each hand so that if it's not working for you all the way, or you can work half splits until you get there. Just kind of slide it and work your way, keeping your hips square as much as possible. And then on the middles, if those are a little bit too much, bend your knees 90 degrees and keep the belly lifted. We don't want saggy bellies because that puts a lot of pressure on the lower back. So before you do your full middle splits, that's where you want to be. And go ahead and wind down how you need to wind down. I hope you've had a great workout with me today. Until next time.